Good evening once again. As everybody finishes up dinner this evening, I have the distinct privilege to introduce a dear friend of Minot, our Governor Kelly Armstrong. Kelly is a lifelong North Dakotan, and he has never been bashful about telling people how much he loves our state. Kelly has a background in business, a love for the great North Dakota outdoors, and a passion for service. If you ask Governor Armstrong what he's most proud of, you're likely to hear about his family and his years as a baseball coach in Dickinson before you hear anything of his 8 years in the North Dakota Senate, his 6 years in the U.S. House of Representatives, or his election as the 34th governor of our great state. But don't let Governor Armstrong's humility fool you. He's an exceptionally bright attorney, a highly effective policymaker, and he's a fierce advocate for our state. In Washington and in Bismarck, he's championed policies for energy development and independence, agricultural interests, and also limited government. Governor Armstrong's positions reflect the values and the priorities of our state. Now please get on your feet, everybody, and let's give a rowdy Minot welcome to our Governor, Kelly Armstrong.
To be fair, I'm not really bashful about anything. You know, when Roscoe Striley told me there were going to be over 250 people for his campaign kickoff, I didn't believe him, but wow, what a crowd. We don't know what he's running for. He probably won't win, but the campaign is sure to be entertaining. It's 2 speeches so far since I've been governor that I've got Roscoe into the first 5 minutes. No, I really appreciate the opportunity to be here, and I am going to talk about sports a little bit because it's this last weekend is my favorite sports weekend of the year, and it has almost nothing to do with March Madness. It's usually UND hockey. It didn't go so great, but it's still playoff hockey. The Class A basketball tournament was in Bismarck, and I have a very good friend who is very, very into the kindred sports scene, so that was a lot of fun. Bishop Ryan won Class B. Century won the Class AA, and I think one of the probably cooler stories of the weekend, for those of you that don't follow wrestling, you should really look this up, because Wyatt Hendrickson beat Gable Stevenson, and this doesn't have necessarily a Minot connection, but it definitely has an Air Force connection. Gable Stevenson is a 2-time national champ, an Olympic gold medalist, and had not been taken down in his last 2 years of college wrestling. And Wyatt Hendrickson, because he wrestled for Air Force, and he had a year of eligibility left during COVID, and he was training for the Olympics, got to wrestle for Oklahoma State University, and he took down Stevenson in the last 35 seconds of the heavyweight match of the NCAA finals. And if any of you enjoy sports, enjoy an underdog story, enjoy somebody who obviously serves this country and does all of those things, it was really, really exciting to watch. So, good weekend for the Air Force. It was a good weekend for Bishop Ryan, and it was just a good weekend to be a North Dakota governor watching all of these kids compete all the way across. So thank you, Ryan, for the intro and for your guys' leadership as chair of the Minot Chamber EDC. And Brecca, just thanks for everything all the time. I appreciate the fact that your board and staff dedicate so much time and resources, not just to growing the business community, but to making sure us as elected leaders, whether it was in DC, whether it's in Bismarck, whether it's at the local level, are always prepared and always know where you're at, what you're standing for, what the policy implications are of anything we're working on. Your advocacy, quite frankly, is what it's supposed to look like for a community like Minot. And there are a lot of places all over the state and all over the country that could learn from you guys. So, and I really mean that. as somebody who, I grew up, my dad was a small businessman in Dickinson. I grew up, started a small business in Dickinson, and understand the value of networking, getting out, interacting with each and everybody else in the community. And as you work through all of this and you figure out how you're trying to make your community a better place and going through it. But I also, as a dad of 2 teenagers, like, it doesn't matter if you're a teacher or a lawyer or an oil guy or the governor of North Dakota. If you have 2 teenage kids, your side hustle is the same. I mean, I consume North Dakota communities, and what I mean by that is I've been to the bubble in Minot at indoor soccer. I've spent a lot of time at Jack Hoven Stadium. I've been and that's not just here, but it's all across the state. And watching and understanding what goes on into a community and where it's at. Somebody asked me if I walked in, if I'd probably been here before they remodeled this building when it was a YMCA, and I'm like, you don't know me at all. The last time I worked out was the last day of practice my senior year of wrestling. So, but I've done, from when I started in politics in 2012, started running for state party chair, doing that, and you just think of the different places you do these events. The last event I had here was on the roof of the Children's Museum. Now we're down here in a downtown facility that's been retrofitted and is just a fantastic place in which you can have an event. And we've got a lot of different places like that across the state, but it's these types of things and these types of facilities and people who put their blood, sweat, and tears into making sure that you have a children's museum, or you have a vibrant downtown, that you have places to go out for dinner, that you have places to do that. And as you're doing it and moving forward, only a group of people that are in this room that care enough about their community are here right now. And this is how you attract talent. We'll spend some time talking about the military base and the Air Force Base because we're really proud of it. Your members from the legislature are proud of it. Your congressional delegation is proud of it. I am very proud of it. But we're also proud of how we've come since 2011 in the flood and all of the different hours of investment and volunteerism and community spirit that goes into taking and making sure that you grow a community out of something like that. I witnessed it in Grand Forks in '97. We left, I was a sophomore in college in 1997. And when we left, we didn't know if we were coming back. Like, we literally didn't know if we were coming back. And so I got to watch that as going to school and doing all of that and watch how that community has grown and really, really responded to the challenge. And I think that's probably, if you ever wanted a theme or a slogan for Minot, it's just you respond to the challenge all the time. Like intermodal, dealing with flood protection, trying to figure out how to move a railroad. I mean, you guys have to overcome having Randy Burkhart in the state Senate. I don't know if I'd cheer for that. He's like my third favorite senator from Minot. It's great. But successful businesses give back to their communities. You guys know that in spades. You have an incredibly strong voice across the state. You have an incredibly strong voice here. And we're going to do what we can to help you. We're working really hard to deliver real property tax relief and real reform. Make sure that we don't end up dealing with the same types of issues we have where, ballot measures that come up that could absolutely devastate our state. We've worked really hard through a lot of conservative policy from a lot of guys sitting around this table right here to make sure that we have a growing ag community, a growing small business community, a growing energy industry, and have been responsible with how we do that. But I can tell you from somebody who's probably spent more time with North Dakotans over the last 18 months than just about anyone when we were campaigning for governor, it's a stressor point, it's a pressure point, and it is something that we have the ability to do. We can do it responsibly, we can do it so it's durable, and we can do it so everybody who owns a home in this great state will see significant relief and reform. We're also working on a housing project. I have the pleasure of when you get to become governor, you get to keep staff that have been on forever, and you get to bring your own new people in. Chris Shilkin is here. He's the director of the Department of Commerce, and he's a Devil's Lake kid, and now you live right here. Glenburn. And he actually brought a program from his time in South Dakota that is going to really, really help us leverage $1 of state money to $2, one local, one developer money. But what we really like about it, and this is his line, so I always give him credit for it. I've stolen it everywhere, so you can obviously tell I think it's a good line, is we don't need another program, we need some solutions. And every community in North Dakota has housing challenges, every single one. They're just not the same in every community. And one of the things we really like about this is it allows local organizations, local groups to determine what their housing challenges are in their community and tailor this program to fit the needs of that particular project. Fargo could use it for homelessness. Ellendale can use it for building a small apartment building. Hillsborough can use it for building 3 single-family houses. So we're pretty excited about it. We think anytime you're leveraging one state dollar to 2 outside investment dollars, it's a good program. And so far, at least, it has stayed pretty flexible. So we're going to be able to deliver it and utilize it in a way we like. We continue. We're going to have I knew this yesterday, but I had forgotten, and it's such a great story. Making North Dakota the most military-friendly state and it's especially important here. We're going to do a bill signing tomorrow where I'm going to get cupcakes. And it's fantastic. It's about a military spouse on the Minot base that couldn't sell her baked products over state lines anymore. And I mean, I don't even know if anybody would have known this was a problem if she wouldn't have brought it up. But you said she's only been here for like 8 months? Yeah, since September. I'm telling you, we don't move legislation that fast in Congress. But this is what is so special about North Dakota. You can have a citizen get a hold of somebody, they run a bill, you got citizen legislators who run it, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, we're going to do a bill signing and taking care of a problem that I'm not sure any of us knew existed if we wouldn't have had somebody do it. But that's a small, tiny example of how deeply the North Dakota legislature cares about our military men and women who serve here. And it has been that way since I first got elected in 2012. It continues to be that way. And I mean, we're the only base in the world with 2 legs of the triad, man. We should brag that up every single chance we get. It's also a great trivia question in D.C. When I was in D.C., the 2 things I would ask them was that, and then I was informing people that we're the #1 producer of honey. Seem to get people. I say our bees do the same thing my parents do. They winter somewhere warmer, but so. The base had $651 million in economic impact last year, and that's not just important to Minot, but it is important to the entire state. Combine that with the national security presence that North Dakota has, not on the world stage, and where we stand in the strategic deterrence posture of making sure that the United States still is that beacon of freedom that expresses those things all across the world. And it's, I said this earlier today, but there was a law enforcement promotion at the Capitol, and I said, as politicians, if we have a bad day, somebody sends a mean tweet. Like, we can get over it. If our men and women in service in uniform have a bad day, that's a bad day for the state, it's a bad day for the country. So this job is hard under any conditions. It's really hard when it's 45 below. Colonel, I don't have the heart to tell you this, but I'm going to tell you this. He told me that he was heard that this was a really long, cold winter, and I'm like, this was like a bad 2 weeks, man. Like, winter can come October 1st and leave June 1st when you're up here sometimes. So this was not. When winter comes late, it comes angry, and it was angry for 2 weeks, but this is nothing. And so now we're already hearing about we need moisture. So we met last week with Major General Colin Connor and Director of the ICBM Missile Modernization Site Activation Task Force about converting Minot ICBMs from the Minutemen to the Sentinels. And we don't need to talk base retention anymore. And we're talking more about how we make Minot even more important to the national defense strategy over the short term and the long term. And I think that's as good of an example as anything of how we have to we're North Dakotans, we're rural, we don't brag. That's what you got me for. And we always do things. We work hard, we play hard, but we don't do as good a job as we could in selling that. We're way past base retention. That is not even, that is a 1997 conversation in a 21st century world. What we're about is making sure that we are a part of what makes the United States military the best fighting force in the history of the world. How we can serve and be of service to the people who need us to protect freedom at home and protect freedom overseas. And by the way, it doesn't matter if it's a Minuteman or a Sentinel or a B-52 or anything else in between. That's not the reason we're the best fighting force in the world. We're the best fighting force in the world is because of the people who serve in the military. And that's really important because I think, a lot of people talk about that. A lot of people, there's never been a politician in the world that could get up on a stage and not say great things about the military and get a round of applause. But I mean this in all sincerity. Our legislature has shown it. Your local legislature, I don't always agree with your local legislators. I didn't agree with them when I was in the Senate. Don't always agree with them when I'm in the governor's office. But I can tell you that advocacy goes, and it goes to every single community that doesn't necessarily have as strong a military presence as Minot does. And that's because there's been 10, 20, 30 years of people advocating for this stuff in a way that resonates with everybody in the legislature and every citizen in North Dakota. So we're working hard on infrastructure projects to help communities. We have $76 million still for the Mouse River Flood Control Project. We know how devastating, for as important as water is to every farmer, to every community, we know how devastating it can be when it gets a little higher than we would want. It'll continue to bring long-term flood relief to the residents of the Mouse River Valley, both urban and rural. And it's really, I always used to say that water policy and water politics is what makes North Dakota, one, sometimes fight with each other in a real meaningful way, but also really truly is the lifeblood. It doesn't matter if it's agriculture, it doesn't matter if it's your community, it doesn't matter if it's energy. Without strong water policy and strong water infrastructure, our communities won't grow and our communities won't continue to do that. And it's those nuts and bolts thing that make it so much more exciting to be back at home. Somebody asked me earlier, what's been the best thing about being home? Touching policy at a granular level. Working on things that can actually better people's lives and deal and help and move our state and continue to move our state forward. And doing it with an attitude of we don't create jobs, we don't create wealth. That's one of the things I think North Dakota has been really smart at. You all do. You do. I can help if you're trying to recruit a business to North Dakota. I can help if you're trying to recruit a business to Minot. But if you're not all in, they're never going to come because you can't fake that. You can't fake that. And you can always talk about some kind of tax policy or infrastructure work or making sure that you have enough power and enough water to bring a pasta facility or wherever out. But we don't get them in the front door. You guys do. And this community has always been really, really good at that. And it makes this job easier. I've only been doing it for 2 months, but it makes this job a lot easier when you know exactly who to call and exactly what they're looking for when you're trying to figure out how you can encourage investment, you can encourage business growth, you can encourage diversity, you can do all of that. And it's just always been something that you have done so well in this community, and it's just so much fun to be a part of. I'm going to end with this because I think it's important. And it's my little lecture. Politics in North Dakota, public service in North Dakota has always been a contact sport. It's always been a contact sport. You want to be anonymous, move to a big city. I lived in an apartment building in DC with 33 other units. I don't even know my neighbors. That's just not how we work here. That's not how we operate here. And it really is what makes this place special. But now more than ever, we are going to need people's help, whether it's school board, county commission, city commission. Term limits are coming into the North Dakota legislative process. We're only as good as our citizen legislature that we send there. And we're going to lose a lot of institutional knowledge when those things kick in. So each and every one of you that cares about your community, think of running. Worst case scenario, it's 8 years, it's 4 sessions. For those of you that are engaged in the business community or engaged in local politics, encourage your employees to do it. Don't let them think that they'll miss a promotion or that they won't do it. There are jobs where you can't, and I understand that. But it only works is if communities rally around the right people and encourage them to do it. It's the coolest legislative body in the world, even though I get grouchy with them once in a while. They don't have desks. Each and every one of them goes back to their community after 81 days in Bismarck. And as somebody who has seen it at the federal level and has spent a lot of time in a lot of different places, it's special. We don't have full-time politicians. They don't have staffs and offices and COVID policies. And if you want to go see your legislators, drive to Bismarck and sit down on the floor with them while they're on the floor of the House or on the floor of the Senate. That doesn't exist in other places. And every single rank and file member of the legislature has more autonomy and more ability to advocate for their issues than anywhere else in the country. When I chaired the Senate Judiciary Committee, I couldn't put a bill in a drawer and never have a hearing. The only thing I could do as a chairman is schedule the time of the hearing. Every bill gets a vote in committee. Every member of the legislature gets to stand up on the floor of either the Senate or the House and advocate for that piece of legislation. And by the way, sometimes it's silly, but I got a little secret for you. Every political body in a democracy is silly once in a while. I spent 6 years in DC, man. I mean, that is the definition of silly. We spend a week fighting about something and get done and fly home on Friday and be like, well, the Senate's never even going to put that bill, never even going to assign that bill to a committee. Why do we care for a week and a half? But it's a special place, and we've done a really good job for the last 30 years, 40 years of helping North Dakota grow through floods and droughts and tornadoes and blizzards and high commodity prices and low commodity prices. And sometimes it was 2 years of a drought or 3 years of a drought, and figuring out how to utilize our state resources like the Bank of North Dakota and invest in these projects and figure out how to get creative. But it doesn't work if we don't have the right people doing it. And your only goal and your only effort should be, and this is our only goal and only effort, do they want to govern? Do they want to govern? I don't care if you're way more conservative than me. I don't care if you're way more moderate than me. I really don't. That's for you all as voters to decide. All I care about is they want to show up and govern. Because I spent 6 years in DC, and there is a strong minority of the people who serve in the federal government that have no interest in actually governing. They want some like modicum of DC social media fame. And being famous in DC is a little like being the host of an outdoor show. You think you're famous, but you're only famous to a subsect of walleye fishing nerds that already think they know more about fishing than you do. We don't need people to be famous. We don't need people to want to go down there to be above the fold or have, I don't know, 800 new social media followers at the end of the week from the beginning of the week. We need people who want to move Minot forward, who want to move Ward County forward, who want to move the state of North Dakota forward. Because I will just tell you something, you're going to agree with them 85% of the time. And the 15% you disagree, those are the fun conversations. And so encourage people, every single person who runs from the legislature from here on out is going to be a chair. It has the ability to be the chair of a committee, chair of a PROPS, House Majority Leader, Senate Majority Leader. It's really, really important that communities and organizations like this engage in that process. We have the best citizen legislature in the country, and it's our job to make sure it stays that way for the next 8, 10, 20 years. Thank you for everything you do all the time. And remember, it's a contact sport. If you don't recruit anybody, Roscoe might run. Again. Which would be personally great for me, and actually, in all honesty, would be great for the city of Minot and for the people of North Dakota. Thank you for what you do every day. Thank you for always showing up. thank you for caring enough about your community to make sure it's growing and looks great, and you're attracting new business, and you make my job easy. So thank you all very, very much.